online this evening to this exciting initiative that I thank warmly Miguel and Margaret for launching the EuroDefense WebTalks. So today it is the first web talk on the white paper of the future of European defense. Following the request of Commissioner for Defense and Space, Andrius Kubilius, for contributions to the preparation of white paper, the working group, on behalf of European Network, had actively prepared this contribution based on inputs from several chapters, such as Netherlands, France, Spain, or Portugal, just to name these. This contribution takes the form of a letter with 9 recommendations, which was transmitted to the Commissioner on the 21st of January. And I thank warmly all those who contributed actively to this work. The purpose of this evening session is to give you the floor. But before the subject will be introduced shortly, first by Ambassador Manuel de la Camara from EuroDefense Spain, who will present the global situation and the political key issues. Then Jan Wind, President of EuroDefense Netherlands, who will present the letter sent to the Commissioner. And then Denis Verret, Vice President of EuroDefense France, will present the 9 recommendations. Regarding the questions, I suggest that you raise them after the 3 presenters in order, I think the global view will be in better position. So I give the floor to Manuel.
Thank you very much, Olivier, and everybody. Good evening. Yes, this webinar is very timely, I think, because of the fact that European defense is becoming one of the key issues for our political development within Europe. The fact of the matter is that we have a current geopolitical situation which is very complex. We have conventional warfare both in our eastern and southern neighborhood, instability in northern Africa, terrorism and separatist movements in the Sahel. And reality is that we are also facing hybrid attacks. We see that there is a growing militarization of space, and also, unfortunately, an unpredictable new U.S. administration. Therefore, it's obvious that the Europeans, under this current situation, we are compelled to take more responsibility for our own defense. Now, the fact of the matter is that we need armed forces that are credible, with the political will to use them, both within NATO and autonomously, and a defense industrial base which is competitive, supports our forces, and is a pillar for our technological development. We also need to reduce our technological dependence. We know that with these responsibilities that we have to take up, we need to invest more, we need to invest better, and in a more collaborative way. Now, 23 allied member states, nations, are already reaching the target of 2% of GDP in their military expenditure, but 2% is not enough for our new challenges that we are meeting. Since 2017, the European Union, based in the Lisbon Treaty, has taken significant steps to increase European military efforts. Since 2017, for instance, we knew that the European Defense Fund was created, for collaborative research and development programs. The permanent structure cooperation was launched. Now there are 26 member states that are participating in PESCO, and 60 projects for land, air, maritime, cyber, and space capabilities. In March 2021, the European Commission and the Council approved the strategic compass, a roadmap for the Europeans to spend more, better, fill the gaps, and avoid duplication. In March 2024, that is a little bit less than a year ago, the High Representative and the Commission published a joint communication with 3 legs on this area. First leg, to establish the European Defense Industrial Strategy, EDIS, a long-term vision for our defense industry. Second, further develop the European Defense Industrial Base. It's called EDTIB. And third, adopt legislation for a European defense industry program, EDIP. The new commission, which took office in December 2024, has established defense as one of the first priorities during its 5 years term. It also created the post of Commissioner for Defense and Space. And former Prime Minister of Lithuania, Andrius Kubilius, was appointed for this office, for this post of Commissioner. In his confirmation hearing on November 6, 2024, at the European Parliament, the new Commissioner Kubilius indicated that within the first 100 days of his tenure, he would publish a white paper on future of European defense. This white paper would establish priorities to strengthen capabilities, scaling up defense industries, and fostering cooperative procurement among member states. The EuroDefense network has been following this, is basically dedicated to follow the development of European security and defense. And of course, we have been over the last few years following very closely these developments. On May 29, 2024, EuroDefense Network sent a letter to the presidents of the European Commission, the European Parliament, and the other institutions, commenting on the joint communication which I just referred to, and formulating some proposals for implementation of the EDIS. And in our November Berlin EuroDefense meeting, we decided to send a letter to Commissioner Kubilius with proposals for his elaboration of the white paper. Now, this letter was sent on the 20 January 2025. I think Jan will comment on the letter. And attached to the letter, there were 9 recommendations and tough choices to establish a credible defense of Europe. An element I want to mention, I'm sure that Denis and Jean will comment, is a point that we indicated, we suggested interesting as we move beyond the so-called Petersburg tasks, we find necessary to establish a robust EU command structure below the EU Military Committee. This EU command structure will run parallel to a further Europeanization of NATO command structures. So I think we are looking forward to the discussions that we're going to have tonight, this evening. We consider that our contribution to the elaboration of the white paper is significant. We are still working in other working groups on these issues. For instance, we are also discussing about command and control issues within European defense. And we expect that we will have a very positive response from the Commission, and we continue to engage in this fruitful discussion at this crucial moment of European future. Thank you.
Thank you, Manuel, for this very broad presentation. It is in the changing world. It's really changing, but if I heard of the US Secretary of Defense in NATO, not in NATO, but in the caucus of nations supplying Ukraine, saying in one word that Europeans have to take themselves care of. So I give the floor to Jan, present the letter. Jan, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you for you have the opportunity to be here because we at EuroDefense Netherlands, we believe that it's a very good initiative to have some internal EuroDefense network discussions by having these webinars regularly. At least that's what I understood from this initiative, that it would be an internal EuroDefense network discussion that gives us a little bit more opportunity to discuss matters that concern all of us in apart from the president's meetings that we have twice a year in capitals where not everybody can participate. So this is a very good initiative. And thank you, Manuel, for the introduction. I didn't know about that, so there will be a little bit of duplication in what I'm going to tell, and but that is usually only beneficial for to better understand and have a better memorize what's going on. I prepared a few very dull pictures, because there's not a lot of interesting pictures in policy papers, but I did it anyway, and hopefully I can put these on screen so to show you. But I'll try to find them in my computer. I guess this could be. Can you see this?
Yes. Very good.
And it says at the start, because I cannot see it anymore. Hopefully this is the first page. That is more or less a duplication, and I would tell about the that we sent this letter on the 20th of January to Mr. Kubilius, but not only to Kubilius, but also to the High Commissioner, the High Representative Kaja Kallas, to the European Parliament, to EDA, to OCCAR, to the External Action Service, and a few others. So this letter is distributed broadly throughout Brussels, I would say. It is containing recommendations for the white paper that Mr. Kubilius is going to write. And that is a response, that in itself, that white paper, that will be a response to the mission letter the President of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, has sent to Mr. Kubilius before he was even appointed to be commissioner. And that said, two important things to start, and that is establish a true European Defense Union. We don't know exactly what that means, but it is an important statement that there should be a true European Defense Union, and that he should hit the ground running on day one. Meanwhile, we're on day, I think, 90 or so, and I haven't heard a lot about that, so that running on day one is not really being executed, but we will look forward to hear more of him. The second page, I hope you can see that now, is about this mission letter to Commissioner Kubilius. As I said, he had to establish a true European Defense Union. And maybe more importantly and more practically is to present a white paper on defense within 100 days. He was appointed to be commissioner on the 1st of December. So we look forward to seeing that white paper somewhere in the next 2 weeks. And I know that by 20 January, when we sent our recommendations to the European Commission, the first drafts of the white paper were sent to the nations for review by the nations. And he would take the responses of the member states into account, and probably our recommendations as well. But in the mission letter, there were a couple of very important points, very practical points that Mr. Kubilius has to do as a commissioner. He has to strengthen military mobility. That is one of the projects that are going on already for a long time, but it must be strengthened and improved. He needs to harness the EU's dual use and civil military potential. I don't know, and we did not address that very much in the letter, because that is not really clear what it means, and we will have to read in the white paper what Mr. Kubilius and his team believe that it will be. He also has to create a single market for defense products and services. We did not address that very much in our letter either, because a single market is something that is being seen in very many other areas of the economy, but not yet in defense. So how that will exactly look like, we didn't know, and we didn't address that. But more importantly, what we addressed is the next point, and that is increased aggregation of demand and standardization. That was considered very important by Working Group 30, and Denis Viret will probably delve into that a little bit into detail when he discusses the 9 points Working Group 30 prepared to send to Mr. Kubilius. The defense projects of common European interest that were coming from the EDIP, the European Defense Industry Plan, that was submitted last year, but without a lot of money attached to it. It was only 1.5 billion euro that was attached to the EDIP. So that did not be that meant that it wouldn't be very effective, and hopefully in the new commission will get more money to implement the EDIS, the EDIP, and all the other programs that are have been launched in a more effective way. And that is, he will do that by intensifying public and private investments in defense. And there the Eurobonds raising money from the market, and I will come to that on the next page. Other solutions to raise private and public money are being discussed as well. Cyber attacks, the strengthen European EU NATO partnerships. Those are the tasks Mr. Kubilius has to fulfill. What did we write in the as most general points in the letter? That is on this page. We talked about a command structure parallel to NATO, and Manuel also addressed that just before I did. And that should be an executive body, at least that is how I understand it, an executive body of the European Military Committee. And that would be a good thing to have that as a separate entity that could support NATO when that is necessary. We also talked in the cover letter to Mr. Kubilius about the short-term elements for European defense industry. We try to convince Mr. Kubilius that the industries and also governments need to work together more effectively, and in particularly consult each other before submitting contracts to industry, and certainly before purchasing in outside of the European Union. And for instance, in Israel or in the United States of America. For the long term, we promoted in this letter the establishment of technological clusters to reduce the tremendous scattering of technology and industry throughout the Union. Every member state is building trucks and ships, and that could be that must be done a lot more effectively. And one of the solutions for that could be technological clusters. We also addressed that in the paper Manuel de la Cámara just referred to in May last year. And hopefully, in this next letter, it will help to implement that idea in the European Commission. I've been talking to members of the European Commission at working level in Brussels, and they are really thinking of working into this direction. Then we addressed the element of finance, introduction of Eurobonds. That is an issue. The Netherlands and Germany are not so very fond of having Eurobonds, but maybe they change their mind at some point in time in the near future. We don't know that yet. But in the letter, we have proposed to use these Eurobonds also for European projects of common interest. So projects that are important for the whole European Union and probably could be owned by the European Union, the products like Galileo, that is already in the air, but or in space, I should say, but other space assets could be relevant for that, and maybe other weapon type or sensor type projects that are important for the whole of the European Union and are not affordable for any of the member states individually. As a second point, we propose to introduce financial guarantees as a separate solution, because one of the main reasons for introducing Eurobonds is that the European financial stability mechanism for the euro prevents some of the member states to raise more money with their own national debt, because that national debt is too high within the limitations of the stability mechanism. And one solution could be to just use private funds for that. But when the European Commission would guarantee those loans that they are paid anyway, even when the customer gets in default, then the interest rate would be considerably lower than it would be when the industry or the nation just borrows that money. That is a solution that was introduced that was in about 2012 by at that time President Juncker of the Commission. It was called the European Fund for Strategic Investments, not allowable to be used for defense at that time, but a similar mechanism could very well be used for defense, and we propose to establish such a mechanism in the Union in the next couple of years to be used in the defense sector. And then as last, we addressed in the letter to 9 detailed recommendations in the enclosure, and nobody else but Denis Ferret can introduce these a lot better than I can. So if you allow me, Mr. or Ms. Chairman, I would like to pass the word to Denis Ferret.
Thank you very much, Jan, for your detailed presentation of the letter. I give the floor to Denis, who will present the 9 recommendations. There may be some petitions, but it is value of petition because they are very important matters. So, Denis, you have the floor.
Okay. First of all, thank you for this really good initiative of Miguel to have these European Defense web talks. I think it is excellent, as it has been already said, and it's the first one, so good. Second, there is a risk of duplication. So I will try not to duplicate, or at least not to go into details where before it has been perfectly exposed. I first recommend, I think we are about 30 of us now, something like that.
42.
32?
40.
42, excellent. So my first recommendation before the 9 is to each of us to read it. Because, and I suppose that it has been done already, so I don't have to be too detailed. But the approach we had was to be sure that we recommend that the white paper on the future of European defense is not a white paper on the role of the Commission on the future of European defense. It's a document which is coming after the strategic compass. The name is important, white paper on the future of European defense. So first of all, we want it to be ambitious, to be compliant with the treaty, to manage the sense of urgency, and to have the best use of scarce money as a principle. And it is written in the introduction. And the basic language is that we agree that we spend not enough and not good enough, so to spend better and better together. This is very important because we insist on the necessity to change habits. The habit of member states is to be corrected thanks to, let's say, a new commitment of each of them. They have to assume their responsibility, but to do it better and to give to the Commission a sort of role of monitoring of what they are doing in order to have not only incentivization by additional money and sometimes common infrastructure covered by the EU at 27, but to spend better together as responsible of their respective defense. The recommendation start by the readiness, meaning 300,000 troops plus 5,000, the famous 5,000, to make sure that they are really effective. And so we have to not only to talk about 5,000 for St. Petersburg mission, but for the total forces, and to make sure that they are more ready to assume the responsibility, and the 5,000 coming obviously in complementarity and consistency. In this respect that we suggest the creation of a strong European command and control structure. I'm not elaborating on that because it has been already covered by Manuel. And the recommendation 2 is absolutely essential. The problem is that we have Russia and we have to support Ukraine, which is our first line of defense. So our paper, in a sense, is geopolitical paper. Our recommendation is that the white paper be geopolitical, because we have to face something whose name is Putin and increase aggressiveness in not only the conventional way against Ukraine, but hybrid ways we know all of us by heart. And for that, we have to offer to Ukraine more and more rapidly, and to offer them in obviously the case of a settlement, ceasefire, the due guarantee of security, knowing that the perspective of membership within to the European Union is there. The membership to NATO is under discussion. And before the one and the second, we have to offer valid, credible, deterrent force of security guarantees. This is absolutely essential. And it is of heavy actuality, as you know. The recommendation 3 is really to the notion that we have to spend better and together on common operational requirements. And for the moment, we have instruments, and like EDA, PESCO, OCCAR, but all these instruments are good, but misused or not used efficiently enough. So we insist on the fact that the result of this is the situation of today, which is member states spending national, and if they don't have national solution, they don't consider even existing European alternative, which is absolutely pathetic. And all that is obviously, let's say, threatening the due consolidation of the offer in Europe. So the Commission is there to, let's say, give money to support working better together, but also to promote enabler at 27. And we suggest the Commissioner for Defense to be not taking the job of ministers of defense in Europe, throughout Europe, but to be like an ombudsman, ready to monitor what the member states are doing, and in case of not committing their in relation with their with what they said they will do, to be in a position to alert and inform in order to correct the situation. The number 4 of the recommendation has been very well covered by Jan, and so I will not repeat it. But without funding, without additional funding, without the reference of Draghi for 3%, we are very not ready to assume the responsibility we have to assume. The recommendation 5 is, as we call it, tough choices, is to make to recommend through the document of white paper to the member states and everyone stakeholder to make the best possible balance, which is short-term, long-term, quantity, quality, low cost, high-end, defense assets to be covered at 27, but national assets or assets in cooperation. And also to make sure that when solution exists in Europe or are in preparation in Europe, it is considered. And obviously, if we don't have any solution, we have to consider out of Europe solutions. So the point 5 is to recommend, obviously, the member states to execute the right balance. The recommendation number 6 is just summarizing a clear share of responsibilities between the different players for the best use of the fresh money. The Commission as, let's say, supporting the cooperation, stimulating the let's say, common equipment, but the member states to assume with fresh money their immediate responsibility and long-term responsibility. Recommendation 7 addresses the question of, which is very important, in fact. It has been phrased perfectly by Manuel, so I recommend to read the recommendation number 7. We want strategic autonomy, and we want to have additional expenses in Europe, notably through common money, to develop our lower dependence, to make sure that we are less dependent than we are currently. So it's very important to mention that reinforcing the European pillar is EDTIB is reinforcing the alliance. This is something that we have to assume. I think we will have few Americans understanding that, but it is our responsibility to assume the reinforcement of our European industry, and then to offer this chance to the alliance. Recommendation 8 is very important. It has been partly covered by Jan. The key word is consolidation, which is said and repeatedly said by Draghi in his report and in the other report like LETA. The European industry has to consolidate to be at the world scale. And the notion of cluster, of competitive supply chain and startup comes with the existence of a strong European prime. We have to consolidate. And the paper is saying that for that, the existing instrument has to be more focused and never contradict this necessary objective of reinforcing European strengths at the global competition, which is a world competition. And to finish, because we want to have a discussion, recommendation 9 is to develop a spirit of defense. And we go to the reference of the Nordic countries and Baltic countries, for which total defense is the motto. And total defense is not the motto in France, it's not the motto in Germany, it's not the motto here and there, and it is a condition of our credibility. So it's summing up what we are recommending on our paper.
Thank you very much, Denis. Thank you all three. You're free to presentation, very wide and smart presentation. So I'll open the floor. You can raise questions in the chat, or you can just raise your hand, and I will distribute the answer to the presenters. Yes, Liviu.
Yes, thank you so much, and congratulations for this effort to be together in these very special moments and to go ahead with our proposals and enforcing the role of our network in the framework of European security and defense. I just wonder if it will be not good to take in consideration the report which was published 2 days ago in Munich, Münchner Security Conference 2025 report, which is preparing the conference, because the conference will bring a lot of changes. And Pete said, the defense secretary just announced that European security will be not more a priority for the United States and so on. We have to be more clarified about our position, what we can do, what we can expect, which role we have to play. So I will be pleased to distribute the report this evening for everybody.
Mhm.
And and really, I'm concerned about the direction of the discussion, which will take place in Munich the next days, and contacts and so on. So we have done a hard work. It was for months and years. This was concentrated in a paper. This could be a basis for the next steps for the commission and so on. So Friday to Sunday will be this conference, and I'm expecting these new guidelines for or the security, international security environment. So this is first, and second, I wonder if it will be not good as an other step we have to prepare, as to establish the ties with the Defense Committee of the European Parliament, which will be also connected with all these developments, and not only to the executive body, but also to the Parliament. And as we discussed before, some months before, if you remember, let's organize something, a meeting in the next months, maybe after our conference in Bucharest, a meeting in Brussels with our colleagues which are there, Euro parliamentarians, and to know what we are doing, our position, and to establish a bridge of communication. I'm sure that everybody has connections, and we have to put together our capacities, and we will be successful in this direction. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Oliver. Just some comments. Thank you very much. Very wise comments. Just to mention that we are already a flavor of the US, as the US Secretary of Defense, Mr. Petetsek, was very clear and sharp in the group of contact of supplying Ukraine. He said in one word, it's European, you have to take your security. It's a matter of Europeans. And of course, he advocates for the 5% that Mr. Trump said. So really, it's time, and it is the news. And so the Munich security certainly will give some more flavor, some more light on this direction. It's very, very important. And secondly, yes, we totally support. Will be a contact with the new Commission of the European Parliament on Security, SEED, said the Commission, and so you are welcome to contact. I give, if Manuel, Jan, or Denis want to say, I give the floor for them to yes, Jan.
Just a brief remark. One of the elements I discussed was the idea of guarantees instead of Eurobonds, or in addition to Eurobonds. That was is apparently interesting for the Parliament. So today I talked to a European Parliament member on this subject to explain how this mechanism would work. And I got already another appointment with another political party group in the. I talked today to Renew Europe, and I will be talking to EPP in a couple of weeks. And there is apparently they believe it's very interesting, and so there's a lot of movement there. For me, not on the other subjects and issues that we addressed in the letter. This was the part they were
excellent.
Yeah, very, very, very important. Yes. Okay.
Well, just a word.
Denis, yes.
I had the chance to attend a video conference this afternoon on the transatlantic relation. And Pierre Vimont, who is a former ambassador to the United States and a well-known person, said the problem now, before they asked for burden sharing, now for burden shifting. So it is exactly the problem we have to address. My second remark is we will have important news. First of all, the content of the Berlin Security Conference and more generally, how Trump is dealing with Putin on the key issue of Ukraine. And second, we will have the general election in Germany. As I always say, don't conclude before Germany, a new government, a new coalition will formulate its own opinion on the question of additional funding. As I said, jury is out, and whatever alternative we could propose is excellent before judging that the Eurobond solution is not available. But if we have alternative, and it's very good to have, they have to be at the let's say the best European rates offered by possible Eurobonds. And the third point is obviously the white paper itself. So I think we have to organize our works in relation with these new elements coming on the table. So my suggestion is perhaps to fix a method to continue to work with very, very new elements coming on the table.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes, Manuel and Patricia.
Well, I think we should attach quite a lot of importance to Denis was mentioning recommendation number 9.
Yeah.
I think this is crucial. I don't know how the white paper is going to deal with this issue, but I think it is very important to reach the public opinion, because if we don't reach the public opinion, it's going to be very difficult for our governments to really make the tough decisions that they need to make. My government doesn't have a budget. It's politically difficult, almost impossible to get a budget. How can you plan to increase your expenditure if you don't have a budget? So we need to have the public opinion on our side. And we have to make them understand that the present situation, we are not at war, but we are not in peace. And this is very important. We are subject to constant hybrid attacks. We are subject to cyber and other kind of attacks. We are constantly being subject of disinformation, migration used as a weapon. So I think it's very important that we insist and that there is a real effort made by all European institutions that we are really not at peace.
Okay, thank you. Patricia and then Fabrizio. Patricia, the floor, if you put on your microphone. We don't hear you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Yeah. I just wanted to say, first and foremost, congrats on the initiative, which is so far has been just wonderful in terms of spreading information, knowledge, and information on the subject. I wanted to ask, to pose a question which is sort of tangent to what you guys have been saying, but I think of some pertinence, which is to do with the decision process within the EU. So we know that there are some elements within the EU that will not enable, as things stand right now, the creation of a true defense policy within the EU, given the requirement of unanimity. So you can do other things. Obviously, you can get money in other ways. You can use PESC and so forth. But the thing is, I mean, how feasible is it if people do understand what a serious issue this is around Europe? How feasible is it to push for the change in the rule and to go for a qualified majority within the treaty for treaty reform? Because that's what we need in order to create a true, which we do need, true defense policy. I think that's my question.
It's a very, very interesting question. But I suggest Fabrizio, if you can raise your question.
Yeah, okay. Well, it is not really a question. It's my appreciation on the recommendations that are in some ways not strong, but diplomatically soft. And I have 2 or 3 points very briefly. There is no mention on EIB, but it could be inside. The issue of common projects is old. I remember that at ESD level we discussed it some years ago. But there, the point is the red tape, because companies are very displeased on the heavy burden and time consuming of this instrument, that it should be simplified. Otherwise it is inefficient. Another point, technical point, is what happens in EDF post R&D. There is no link at all with production. Now it is needed that the Commission try to modify something, but I think it is not on the table. Maybe you can confirm.
We made
and
the
then,
we made this
Huh?
recommendation. We made it is in our recommendation.
Okay, great. And so, Denis, I take your point on burden shifting because I wanted to discuss it. In case, let's imagine the worst situation when Trump decides to withdraw or retire troops from NATO, from Europe. The American budget to keep operational the troops is more than 50 billion per year. It means that we should need a fund, something like Breton suggested some time ago. Otherwise, how can we do? It is impracticable.
Okay, thank you. So, therefore, there's that is a very important issue regarding the legal, which is treaties, what it is possible and what we can do in the existing treaties before opening the Pandora box, that is also a difficulty. So, who want to give some answer? Manuel, Jan, or Denis?
Yeah, I can answer
Yes,
a bit to both, if you don't mind. And first a question of by Patricia Akester about qualified majority voting. That was an element we as EuroDefense have recommended to the Commission in 2020 in our paper of Working Group 27. But I talked to a Netherlands member of parliament this week, and he was a member of the political party Volt. I guess you will know the Volt political party, which is working throughout Europe. They are very much in favor of qualified majority voting, and he had in a Volt committee asked all European parliaments what their opinion was on qualified majority voting. And consistently the answer has been no. We're not going to do that. He was very, as Volt member, he was very, disappointed. And I guess some of us in this room, because in this virtual room, we all have our own opinions. Some of us will be very positive about that there will be no qualified majority voting, and others will be in favor of that, like you, Patricia. But we could discuss in EuroDefense whether we continue to pursue, as we did in 2020, to promote QMV throughout the Union, because we are independent of all those parliaments, so we could define reasoning why this is important and try to convince our national parliaments and our international parliaments. But not everybody will agree to that, so that would be an interesting discussion.
Yeah, it is a very tough issue since when you are doing with defense, it's if you have to go to war, and war really is a matter of national parliaments because it is soldiers, the blood of the soldiers. And the qualified majority, it is always the difficulty. You have a kind of scission between those who are voting for and vote against. So it's a very difficult, tough issue, and you have to take also into account that the popular, the man of the street, advocates for a European army. That's very tough. Denis, you want to say something?
Obviously, we're always ready to discuss about the revision of a treaty. But the first point is to have sense of urgency. So with the treaty we have and with the threats we have, how are we not able, without changing the treaty, to do the job? I think the sense of urgency means that if you are not able to do the job, the quote-unquote burden shifting, we are immediately in big disarray if the prerequisite is to change the treaty. And I'm not against. It's not the point. I think it's not matching the urgency.
Fernando, you raise.
Thank you very much, Olivier. I would like to address, those of you who have been with me in some other previous meetings know very well that I'm very keen on the question of the command structure. So I have been taken by the first of the three questions posed by Richard de Graaf on the matter, this particular one on the matter of whether we should, under Berlin Plus, go to request shapes, capabilities, planning capabilities for the coming period of stress. While the question is very appropriate and very well pointed, I would say, nevertheless, I would like to say that asking that would detract from the request of organizing our own command structure. So I would like to sideline that use of shapes help in these circumstances. We need to put the best speed in creating our own command structures, which of course includes planning capabilities. Thank you.
Thank you, Fernando. Just have interesting issue raised by Richard and Robin about public ownership. It is. I would say it is an endless story. We know that to be efficient, sometimes you have to be private. But if you want to stay long term, 30 years, sometimes it is kind to have stability of public. So it is very interesting. Okay. Do we have any more who want to answer to the points raised by Fabrizio?
Yeah, the EIB and the red tape that always raises a flag with me because I have heard my old friend Rob Bauer, when he still was head of the military committee of the chairman of the military committee of NATO. He's now retired 2 weeks ago, but he was always pounding on pension funds and investors that they should invest in defense, and the same is applied to the European Investment Bank. And I totally agree to that because they should do so. But we, all of us in the treaties, have made treaties not in the defense area but in the financial area that just do not allow European Investment Bank to do this. they cannot do it because they violate our own treaties and laws if they do so, and that makes it a very complicated issue. And just like there are some nations or member states and individuals who do not like to change the treaties on defense, there are others who do not like to change the treaties on the finance. Austria and Germany in particular do not want to change the laws related to the European Investment Bank, because they know that if that would be done, the rating agencies in the United States, which is very strange because now they are in control, and they are independent rating agencies that give ratings like AAA standard and BB, and our member states have different levels of those ratings as well. As soon as the word defense and non-dual use, only defense, the pure defense use is introduced in the EIB, the rating from the rating agencies will be lowered from AAA status to BB or maybe 1A. And Germany and Austria are very, very, very much against that to happen, because that means the interest rates of the EIB will go up dramatically. So that is a dilemma that cannot be solved like my friend Rob Bauer did by shouting to everybody in the financial sector that they have to change their mind, because they cannot. We as EuroDefense probably could send letters to the European Commission, because there is the start to change those treaties in the financial sector. And also our friends in the European Commission and the European Parliament on the financial side, which are very, very much ESG minded, they will need to learn that there is a sense of urgency, as Denis said, that we need more money for defense, and there the European Investment Bank could help a lot, but they are not allowed to.
Okay, thank you very much, Jan. After you overcome, it is 8:05, so I will say thank you for your participation. That's very good initiative. You are Manuel, Jan, Denis, and myself, of course, at your disposal if you have any more inquiries about this tough subject of European defense and recommendations you made to Mr. Kubilius. We will see and we'll hear what will be said in the Munich Security Conference to come. I just said what a flavor with Mr. Etzek, who said in the meeting with us, nation supplying Ukraine, that's one word, it is Europeans to take the security.
Yeah.
State. So we'll have to it is the development. So thank you very much for participation, and I wish you an excellent evening. And for the next web talk.
Thank you, Olivia. And if you allow me not to just to finish, because I forget to mention in the beginning, I would like to thank to EWG 1B, which is the outreach, the youth working group, which were crucial. Margarida is here with us. He made the organization and the communication. Beatriz, which is also with us today. I would like to thank them and invite everyone to participate in these webinars and make part of these dialogues with EuroDefense. And I will not take much more time for your evening. And thank you all, and thank you especially to the speakers and the contribution that we had here today. And see you on the next time. We will do this more regularly. And I hope to see you all again.
Very good.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.